This is the Lenovo Legion Go and it's seriously impressive, but it has some major downsides that can be easily overlooked. I'm going to show you the entire experience and give you my final thoughts at the end, so stick around. Lenovo has made two models. This is the Legion Go, but there's also the Legion Go S. Now the main difference is that the S doesn't have as good of a screen. The joysticks are not detachable, but the big difference is that one runs SteamOS compared to Windows 11 on the original Legion Go. They both have the same Z1 Extreme processor, but since this one has a 1600p screen, technically hardware-wise, this one is better. Speaking of the hardware, the build quality is really nice. It feels very well made. The detachable handles are super cool, and yet they're completely solid when they are attached. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall off at any moment. This one has an 8.8-inch 1600p screen at 144 Hertz. So the screen quality and smoothness is outstanding. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the best screen of all the gaming handhelds right now. The Z1 Extreme chip is very impressive, even on battery power. And this unit has 16 gigabytes of RAM, although the S does have 32 gigs for some reason, but even 16 gigs is more than enough for day-to-day tasks and even gaming. You also get a micro SD card slot to upgrade the storage, and you can even upgrade the internal SSD, and that will not void your warranty according to Lenovo. This really is like a PC in your hands. I can't think of any other tablet-like devices that would give you that amount of flexibility. It's also got that built-in stand at the back, which makes it very sturdy, and it's got metal hinges. And here are the ports that you get with it. You've got two USB-C ports, both with 40 gigabits per second speed, and one's at the top, the other one's at the bottom. You've got the SD card slot for expansion. It's got traditional front buttons like A, B, X, Y. You also have two shortcuts to get into Legion Space, which is the built-in Legion software, as well as a quick access for the overlay. You got triggers and shoulder buttons with remappable rear buttons as well as a slider. And at the top, you've got volume up and down. So let's get right into gaming. I'm going to show you what the performance was like. So here we are in CardX Street. For graphics, I have it set to 1200p, and I've got the graphics qualities and shadows set to medium, upscaler set to performance mode. Everything else is off. We get between 50 to 60 frames per second. Visuals look amazing on the screen. And in Spider-Man Remastered, same thing, 1200p, and I've got the upscaler set to performance mode on FSR there. And most details are set to medium, so we're getting 65 frames per second, 70 frames per second in a lot of cases, and this game just looks incredible on the screen. A very nice experience, super smooth and great details. Even in the really busy parts where there's lots of bad guys, you're still getting about 50 frames per second, 60 frames per second, pretty solid. Red Dead Redemption 2, which is probably my favorite game ever made. Such a nice experience on this screen. The visuals look absolutely amazing. Again, 1200p. Textures, you want to go all the way to ultra because those don't actually change anything. Most everything else is at low or medium, and FSR set to performance as well. So in this game, you get a pretty solid 60 frames per second. Again, so you're gonna get 60 FPS, 1200p, with some decent settings. Some games you can go higher. Okay, what if you want to use it as an actual PC and connect it to a monitor? It can do it no problem. So I connected a USB-C to HDMI and connected to my computer screen. It fired right up and the quality looked amazing. The only limitation is that I could only get 60 Hertz on my computer monitor, even though the screen is 144 Hertz. There must be some sort of limitation in the Legion Go. Same thing happened on my TV. My TV is a 4K 60 Hertz, but I could only get 30 Hertz on that one. So there's some sort of a frame limit when you're connected to external displays. It could be a firmware limitation. It could also be just an issue with my cable. So I'm not sure what's happening there. So just take note of that. But when I connected to my TV and I paired a PS5 controller, it really gave me a game console type of experience. I was playing Spider-Man. It looked amazing. And the frame rate was locked at that 30 FPS, which is okay. Not as good as you get on the actual screen itself, but definitely playable. I even tried editing a short video and and it definitely could do it. And the experience wasn't too bad, although I did get a message that said video RAM was full at some point. So keep that in mind. It's of course not going to be as good as a full desktop or even a laptop, but for light video edits, 1080p, it's probably fine. And of course, for using it as a normal desktop, office work, anything like that, no problem at all. You can definitely use this as a desktop computer that doubles as a handheld gamer on the go. Now, battery life as well as handhelds definitely struggle. So I played Red Dead Redemption 2 with some pretty good detail settings, screen brightness about 50%, and I had the power profile in performance mode. I only got an hour and 31 minutes of gaming before it gave me the message that it's in low power and it's going to turn off soon. So pretty low on the battery life there. Certain games, if you drop the detail settings or maybe if you tweak the power profile, you might be able to get about 2 hours of gaming. Now, if you're just doing normal work, I switch it to the quiet profile mode. So that's a low power mode. And I just played a YouTube video and I was able to get 6 hours and 25 minutes of video playback. So a lot more. For day-to-day use, watching videos, normal tasks can definitely last a lot longer. For gaming, expect about 2 hours tops of full performance game. Let's get into the benchmarks. So in Geekbench 6, in the CPU test, I did both on battery and on power. Single core 1931 on battery and 2376 on power. And then multi-core was an even bigger difference at 7152 multi-core and almost 11,000 when powered. So although in day-to-day use, I didn't really feel the difference, when you do the benchmarks, there certainly is a big difference when it's plugged in. However, if we look at the graphical performance, you can see on battery, under 34,000, on power, just over 38,000. So not that big of a difference. They've done some sort of fine tuning here where graphically, it's not that different when you're plugged in. And I could feel that when I was gaming on battery power or if I was plugged in, the experience felt more or less the same, maybe a couple of frames per second, but nothing worth noting. So I don't know what kind of magic AMD has done here with the Z1 Extreme, but it's definitely optimized for gaming on battery power. So what about the good and the bad? And spoiler alert, there's a lot more good than there is bad. If you enable the battery saver in Windows, but not the Lenovo Legion profiles, it doesn't really change the gaming performance all that much. It just lowers the power draw from Windows itself, which is a good thing. The charger is the same one that you get with a standard Lenovo laptop, like what I got with my Yoga 9 or the Yoga 7. So if you already have Lenovo chargers, you can interchange them very easily. If you're traveling with a laptop and a Legion Go, you can bring just one cable. The performance feels essentially the same whether it's plugged in or not. Even though the Geekbench scores showed a difference in real-world application, it's pretty negligible. Now, during gaming, the device can get pretty hot. It can easily hit above 80 degrees, but the fan is pointed up, so it pushes all that heat away from you and not towards your body. And because the controllers are actually detachable, they don't get hot at all. It's just the screen and the center of the body itself. But while you're gaming and holding the controllers, you're not going to feel that heat. I love that the internal SSD can be upgraded and that Lenovo will not void your warranty in doing that. You can follow the guide. The screen is amazing. It looks so good in your hands, and that 144 Hz refresh rate is buttery smooth. The included case is great. It's got a little handle to carry it. There's even a little strap inside to pick up the device out of the case a lot easier. And the best part is there is a pass-through flap, so you can actually charge the device to the USB port while it's in the case. The Z1 Extreme processor is so impressive. It's actually even faster than my Intel i9-9900K on my desktop. If you like the game console type of feeling, Legion Space does launch automatically. So as soon as you log into Windows, you're into Legion Space, which has all your games in there. So it really gives you a console type of feeling. If you want to get out of it, just slide it from the bottom and you can pull up the Windows taskbar and switch to different apps. I like the power controls in the overlay and the other settings. The one thing I got wrong was I put it into the quiet mode. I thought it was just a fan profile. I didn't realize it actually lower the wattage on the processor, so my games were laggy. That was my bad. Once I enabled performance mode, it smoothed everything out. The common Windows shortcuts being in the overlay is super handy, like Alt-Enter, Alt-F4, Window D. So getting to your desktop or making a program full screen if it's locked in non-full screen mode. So although you don't have a physical keyboard connected, they thought of that and gave you all those shortcuts in the Legion overlay, which is a nice touch. Another great thing is that driver updates are simple in Legion Space. So I updated the AMD graphics driver. I was overthinking it. I went and downloaded AMD Control Center. I didn't need to do any of that. It was built built into Legion Space, I saw the setting and I updated to the latest driver for that Z1 Extreme. And I have to mention having the dual USB ports again, so handy because you can charge from the top or the bottom or keep it charged while I plug into a monitor. So I like that they thought of that. Okay, and what is not so good? Of course, first of all, it's the battery life. There's just not enough of it while you're gaming. Maybe you'll get 2, possibly up to 3 hours if you're playing a very low-end game. I'll usually get bored and just want to stop playing before the battery runs out, but for hardcore gamers, or if you're like on the train and you're commuting for a while, you're probably going to run out of battery during that time. The fan is certainly loud, but if you do turn up the volume on your game, or if you're using headphones, it's not really a big deal, but it does have to be mentioned. It is also on the heavier side. It's a bit larger. It's not so comfortable to hold for long periods of time. If I'm gaming at home, I'll put a pillow on my lap and actually rest it on the pillow with the stand at the back, and that makes it a lot more comfortable. And also the built-in speaker is not good. It's tinny, doesn't really give you the best sound. You really should use headphones with this thing to get the best experience. Another issue I have is not with the device itself, but with the case. You have to make sure the device is off before you put it in the case because it's always blowing hot air out of the top. And if you were to put it in the case while it's on, it can overheat in seconds and cause damage to the device. It would be nice if it actually detected that it was in the case and automatically went into a sleep mode, similar to a tablet. Also, the charging is slow out of the box. Even if it was charging while I was gaming, I'd still be losing battery. It couldn't charge fast enough. If you go into the BIOS screen, there is an option to enable faster charging. I don't know why it's slow by default. It could be a heat management thing. Once I enabled that, it definitely helped it out a bit. But if you're gaming, it still has a lot of power draw. Although if you enable the fast mode, it should be charging up at least while you're gaming. And then of course, Windows itself can be janky. There's glitches, there's tons of pop-ups. There's the Windows widget wall you'll want to disable. I like to disable my desktop icons as well because I just don't need those. So sometimes Windows can get in the way, especially during the initial setup with all the updates and all the endless questions that Microsoft asks you. So it doesn't give you that true dedicated gaming device feeling. It's definitely a general purpose OS and you can feel that. Although Legion Space pops up and tries to hide it, so it's okay, but don't expect like a PS5 type of experience. This is definitely a Windows PC. But that's why I think installing Steam OS on this device would be super interesting because that should give it a smoother, more game console type of experience. I also have to mention that when I first set it up, I had a glitch with the left joystick where it would just think that it was locked to the left the whole time. You can check out the unbox video. I was so confused by that. I ended up uninstalling Legion Space and reinstalling it, and then it updated the firmware on the controllers and that fixed it. I also got a lot of comments on the short that I made of other people who had that same issue. So it seems like a common problem with the joysticks having a glitch. I was able to fix it through software, although I had a couple of commenters say that they actually had to ship it in and get it replaced. So just be mindful of that problem. But after the initial setup, after doing all the updates and getting it up and running, the wow factor was big. It hits you hard how powerful the device is in your hand. It truly is a gaming PC on the go and it's very versatile. So who is this for? This is a lot better than a gaming laptop with a big charging brick and a separate controller. It's a lot more portable. So excellent for students or commuters, people who are on the train a lot, people who travel a lot, even on a plane, and they want to get some gaming on the go. It makes portable gaming a breeze, and the case with the handle is a nice touch. In fact, John Rettinger, who's an OG YouTuber, said in his video that this got him back into gaming because with his channel, with his business, with his family, he just didn't have time to game anymore, but he travels a lot. So during his downtime on a plane and traveling, he used the Legion Go to actually get back into gaming. So if you're always on the go, then this might be the right device for you. Also, if you're on a budget and you just need to pick up one device that can act as a desktop computer when it's docked and then a gaming device on the go, and it's something that's a lot smaller to carry than a laptop, this is a really good option. You're getting full Windows 11 with AMD graphics in something that's very similarly sized to an iPad mini. The ease of use once it's set up is really good and the value is really there as well. The fact that you can upgrade the internal SSD, you got that micro SD card for expansion, 2 40 gigabit per second USB ports, really makes it a gaming PC in your hands. While I do think the fact that it has full Windows 11 does make it very versatile, it definitely takes away from the user experience. So get subscribed because in the next video, I'm going to install install Steam OS on this thing and see if I can get a better experience, better performance, and maybe even longer battery life. Also, check out the unbox video if you want to see the problem that I was having with it. And if you want to pick up a Lenovo Legion Go, check out the links in the video description or the top pinned comment to help support the channel. My name is Baz and you're watching Pro Shopper. On this channel, we focus on making tech buying easy with unbiased reviews. If that sounds good to you, then I hope to see you in the next one.